all good things must come to an end for another good thing to begin. What am I saying? Well, first of all, hello, how are you? This is Heena from Team TES, and welcome in my session of question answer discussion for MP set. Well, why am I saying good things? And actually, आज हमारा last day है of discussion for Madhya Pradesh set exam. But so what? हम coming Monday से एक नए state का set exam discuss करेंगे. So you must wait and watch which state are we going to begin from next Monday? Okay, coming Monday. Chaliye, let's start with today's session. I hope you like it. Question number 1. Identify the speaker of the lines. Yet, if the only form of tradition of handing down consisted in following the ways of the immediate generation before us in a blind or timid adherence to its success, tradition should positively be discouraged. We have seen many such simple currents soon lost in the sand, and novelty is better than repetition. Who said these lines? Your options are A. W.B. Yeats, B. T.S. Eliot, C. Harold Pinter, or D. W.H. Auden. Who? You know it. It is option B, T.S. Eliot. Well, he said these lines in his 1919 essay titled Tradition and the Individual Talent. Now, in these lines, Eliot says that tradition in literature does not mean following the classical writers blindly. No. A great writer does not inherit tradition. He has to obtain it. She has to obtain it by great labor. हिंदी में समझाऊं तो फिर आपको बैठे बिठाए पूर्वजों की विरासत नहीं मिलेगी, आपको उसको हासिल करना पड़ेगा. And here विरासत means tradition of great literature. Okay, and for that, Eliot argues that a writer should have a historical sense. Okay, let's move on. Question number 2. Which of the following works by Chaucer is often called a novel in verse? Option A, The Book of the Duchess, B, The Legend of Good Women, C, Troilus and Cresside, or D, The Canterbury Tales, a novel in verse. Well, the answer is option C, Troilus and Cresside. A little bit about Chaucer. He was called the father of English poetry. Was, yeah, is obviously. He is also called the father of English literature. Now, Troilus and Cresside is definitely not a novel. It is an epic poem. तो फिर इसको हमने novel in verse क्यों कहा? Well, the reason is because critics say that the character of Cresside, who is the heroine here, she is explained as if she were a fully realized person, जैसे novels में होता है. So she is explained as if she were a character in a realist novel. And that makes Troilus and Cresside a novel in verse. Good enough? आगे बढ़े. Question number 3. What was strange about Emily Dickinson? Option A, she rarely left home. B, she wrote in codes. C, she never attempted to publish her poetry. Or D, she wrote her poems in invisible ink. Well, the strange thing about Dickinson was A, she rarely left home. Forget about home. She rarely left her bedroom. Here is Emily Dickinson, her portrait. Now, Dickinson, as you know, was an American poet who lived from 1830 to 1886. There are many of her characteristics which people found odd. See, I will not say odd because I feel every individual is unique. So I will say few of her things which were different. Now, for example, first, she liked a life of isolation. Second, she loved white clothing. Third, she never married. And fourth, she maintained friendships majorly through correspondence. Okay? आगे बढ़े. Everyone has a character, okay? Everyone has their own traits, and we can't call people odd. No. Question number 4. According to Francis Bacon, what makes a ready man? Option A, reading. B, writing. C, consultation. Or D, conference. A ready man. Well, you will know it if you know these famous lines by Bacon. The answer is option D, conference. Now, the lines are, reading maketh a full man. Conference, a ready man. Writing, an exact man, right? और यहाँ पे conference का मतलब क्या है? It means debate or discussion. Okay, let's move on. Question number 5. Match the following. See, these are lines from famous books. You have to tell me which lines belong to which books. Can you tell me? I will read them in the answer. Well, here is the answer. Option A. So let's read the lines. Good sense is the body of poetic genius. These lines are taken from Coleridge's Biographia Literaria. Well, Biographia Literaria, you know, was an 1817 critical autobiography of Coleridge in 2 volumes, right? Now, second, poetry is the breath and a finer spirit of all knowledge. This is taken from Wordsworth's Preface to Lyrical Ballets. Okay, you know it. This is also an essay which was, composed for his poetry collection called Lyrical Ballets. Okay, now question number third, literary criticism is a description and evaluation of its object. These lines are taken from Brooks, the Formalist Critic. Okay, this is an essay again. And fourth, nature never sets forth the earth in as rich a tapestry as diverse poets have done. These lines are from Sidney's An Apology for Poetry, in which Sidney says that poetry is more effective than history or philosophy. Good enough? Let's move on. Question number 6. Which poem of Sylvia Plath describes the condition of a pregnant woman? Your options are A. Mirror, B. Balloons, C. Insomniac, or D. Metaphors. The answer is option D, metaphors. Now, Sylvia Plath, you know, is an admired 20th century poet from America. She committed suicide at a tender age of 30. And her poetry actually expresses that mental anguish, despair, obsession with death, and her troubled marriage with co-poet Ted Hughes. Now let's come to her poetry, Metaphors. Metaphors was published in 1959, which talks about the wonder and weirdness of pregnancy. Sylvia actually wrote it because she thought that she was pregnant, but then that wasn't the case, okay? It is a very, very nice poem in just 9 lines. I thought I'll read it for you. Let's read it together. Metaphors by Sylvia Plath. I'm a riddle in 9 syllables. An elephant, a ponderous house, a melon strolling on 2 tendrils. Oh, red fruit, ivory, fine timbers. This love's big with its yeasty rising. Money's new minted in this fat purse. I'm a means, a stage, a cow in calf. I have eaten a bag of green apples, boarded the train, there's no getting off. This train is what? The train of pregnancy. Nice poem, right? Let's move on. Question number 7. Who said the following lines? Those rules of old discovered, not devised, are nature still, but nature methodized. Option A, Wordsworth, B, Pope, C, Coleridge, or D, Keats. You know it. It is option B, Alexander Pope. Well, here he is speaking about the literary rules of the ancients. Okay? Question number 8. Nation and Narration is written by option A, Edward Said, B, Homi Bhabha, C, Gayatri Spivak, or D, Bill Ashcroft. Nation and Narration. It is by B. Homi Bhabha. Look at there, Nation and Narration, the book cover by Homi K. Bhabha. Well, it is in 1990 that he wrote it. And in this, he speaks about nations under colonialism as well as post-colonialism. Majorly, Bhabha says that English as a language, is no longer an English national consciousness. What it will give you? It will give you only an international dimension. That's it. Okay, let's move on. Question number 9. Who wrote Undertones of War in 1928? Option A, Edmund Blunden, B, Elizabeth Bowen, C, Edward Bond, or D, Malcolm Bradbury. Undertones of War. It is by Edmund Blunden, as you can see in the cover. Well, it is a memoir of his of First World War, okay? And this is Blunden's first prose work because he was primarily a poet. Now, you should know it that he and Siegfried Sassoon, they were very good friends, and both of them have written about their experiences in the World War in verse as well as in prose. Okay, let's move on. Question number 10. whose poems heralded the Celtic Revival in the 18th century? Option A, W.B. Yeats, B. Tennyson, C. Eric Linklater, or D. James Macpherson. Celtic Revival, heralded by option D, James Macpherson. Well, you have to know this. Celtic Revival, as you know, was the peak of creativity in Irish literature. And that is why it is also called as Irish Literary Renaissance. It began from 1880 and went on till 1939. Now, James Macpherson actually wrote a book called as Works of Ocean, okay, which was published in the year 1765. And it is this book, Works of Ocean, which heralded the Celtic revival in the 18th century. Okay, let's move on. Question number 11. Imagination has shaping and modifying power. It dissolves, dissipates, diffuses, and dissipates in order to create. Coleridge explained the above term in option A, Christabel, B, Kubla Khan, C, Biographia Literaria, or D, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. You know it. He spoke about imagination and fancy in option C, Biographia Literaria. Now, Coleridge, we know, was an English romantic poet, and he spoke about these two terms, imagination and fancy, in his autobiography, okay, of 1817. Now, before him, critics said that imagination and fancy are one and the same thing. But Coleridge said, no, 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 no. Imagination is way superior than fancy. Why? Because imagination can modify, imagination can shape, imagination can create, but fancy cannot create. What can fancy do? It can just organize materials. Okay, आगे बढ़े. Question number 12. Which of the following is a dramatic poem written by John Milton? A. Animate Versions, B. L'Allegro, C. Il Penseroso, or D. Samson Agonists. A dramatic poem. You know it. It is Samson Agonists. Now, what is a dramatic poem? It is a kind of poetry which is written in verse and it can be acted out. Why? Because it has long speeches, talking to the audience, to self, like that. But Samson Agonist was not meant to be acted out because actually Milton wrote it as a tragic closet drama. A closet drama kya hota hai? That drama which is not meant to be acted. You remember Milton was a Puritan, so he was against theater. And Samson Agonist, you know, is about the fight between Israel and Palestine. Here Samson, who is a leader of Israel, has his power in his hair. Okay, that is the base. You should know it. Samson's power was in his hair. As you can see in the pic, this Samson, he's actually slaying about 1,000 Palestinians after being dead. Okay, that is the story. Let's move on. Question number 13. Which of the following play was written by Wole Soyinka to commemorate the independence of Nigeria? Option A, A Defense of the Forests, B, The Road, C, Congi's Harvest, or D, Madmen and Specialists. You know the answer, right? It is option A, A Dance of the Forests. Okay. Now, Wole Soyinka, we know, is a Nigerian playwright, novelist, poet, essayist, and he was awarded the Nobel Prize in the year 1986. Well, I give pictures of these writers, authors on the screen so that you remember them better. Okay. Now, what is A Dance of the Forest all about? It is an imaginary play which is linked with past events. It literally has two characters called as a dead man and a dead woman. Okay. And it talks about sin and redemption. This play was presented at the Nigerian independence celebration in the year 1960. Good enough? Okay, nice information. Let's move on. Question number 14. Upper Division Love. Upper Division Love is a short story by A. Sudhir Ghosh, B. Khushwant Singh, C. Manohar Malgonkar, or D. Chaman Nehel. Who? Well, Manohar Malgonkar. Well, you know, he was an Indian author in English who wrote both fiction and non-fiction. He was also an army officer and a civil servant. A little bit about this funny short story. Well, Upper Division Love talks about the film industry, the reality of the film industry. And a character in this story is Manoharji himself, okay? And he is in love with an actress called Sundar Bala. So this story is about love and revenge, but in a very humorous manner. Let's move on. Question number 15. Which of the following is not by Aristotle? Option A, metaphysics, B, ethics, C, poetics, or D, the symposium? Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher and polymath. Well, all his notable works are A, metaphysics, B, ethics, C, poetics, but not symposium. Well, the symposium was a book by Plato. So the answer is option D. Perfecto. Question number 16. Identify the novel written by Sylvia Plath. A, Ariel, B, The Colossus, C, The Bell Jar, or D, Winter Trees. See, it's a tricky question because all these works are by Sylvia Plath, that I'm telling you. But they are poetry collections, except for one. Which one? That is option C, The Bell Jar. Look at that cover. But यहाँ पे विक्टोरिया ल्यूकिस क्यों लिखा हुआ है? इधर तो सिल्विया प्लाथ लिखा हुआ होना चाहिए था ना? Well, because Sylvia wrote this novel under the pseudonym of Victoria Lucas, and it is her semi-autobiographical novel. Okay, let's move on. Question number 17. Onomatopoeia means option A, echoing the same sound repeatedly. B, echoing of the sense by different words. C, echoing of the sense by sound, shape, size, or movement. Or D, echoing of the sense by movement. Onomatopoeia. You know it. It is option C. Echoing of the sense by sounds, shape, size, or movement. Well, it is a literary term when a word is formed by the sound it makes, or by the shape it has, or by the size, or by the movement. Now, easiest example is take a word meow, and the cat does meow, right? So it is made by the sound of the cat. Similarly, tick tock, that's a word which is made by the movement of the hands of the clock. So that's also onomatopoeia. Good enough. Let's move on. Question number 18. The Lullaby of a Lover is written by option A, George Gascoigne, B, Thomas Moore, C, William Shakespeare, or D, Lawrence Minot. The Lullaby of a Lover is written by option A, George Gascoigne. You know him. He was an English poet, a politician, and a soldier, and lived from 1535 to 1577. Belonged to the early Elizabethan era. And the Lullaby of a Lover is a poem by Gascoigne, okay, or a poem as we say it. Question number 19. The concept of Bacon's essay is said to be borrowed from A, Montaigne, B, Plato, C, Aristotle, or D, Molière. Bacon took his essay's idea from, of course, it is option A. Full name is Michel de Montaigne. Well, he was a French philosopher we know who lived from 1533 to 1592. He wrote a very famous book in French called as Essays, spelling of which is Essassais. It was in 3 books, it had 107 chapters, and it was in wide range of topics. It spoke of Montaigne's characteristics, Montaigne's sense of humor, and it was from this book that Bacon took the idea, the English philosopher Bacon took the idea of his 1597 masterpiece work called as Essays. Easy, right? Here you can see this is one of the editions of Essays. Okay, आगे बढ़े to the last question of the day. Question number 20. Bhakti Rasa was given by option A, Madhusudan Saraswati, B, Rup Goswami, C, Adi Shankaracharya, or D, Abhinav Gupta. Bhakti Rasa. It is by option B, Rup Goswami. Well, Rupji, we know, was born in Karnataka, lived from 1489 to 1564. He was a guru, a poet, and a philosopher of the Vaishnava tradition. Okay, he was an ardent follower of Lord Krishna, as you can see from the picture on the screen. Now, his most famous work is called Bhakti Ras Amrit Sindhu. Bhakti Ras Amrit Sindhu, which in English means ocean of the nectar of divine love. Okay, and it is in this work that Roopji told about Bhakti Ras, and we are done. How did you like all these sessions? How did you score? well, scoring is okay, agar thoda kam hai, but then you learned so many things. Well, whatever is your query, you can actually write in the comment section below. And from Monday, we are starting with another set series. Okay. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're gaining the knowledge that you need to crack our prestigious exams of NET, SET, GATE. Yes, this is Heena from Team TES, and I wish you a lovely weekend. Bye bye. Take care.